Please welcome back to the stage Chief Operating Officer, Modern Treasury, Rachel Pike.
Hey everybody, welcome back from lunch. Hope you enjoyed your post-lunch entertainment. As you've heard a bunch of times today, the environment around us is changing a lot. New rails are coming online, and that means that teams operating in that environment have to build really resilient and flexible systems, processes, technology teams, et cetera. And that way they can absorb the innovation around them, AI, stablecoins, all those things that are the themes of today's conversations. I'm really excited to introduce Shopify. They run corporate treasury absolutely on the cutting edge of technical innovation. I don't need to introduce Shopify, but if you haven't heard of them, they're a retail OS that helps brands meet their customers wherever they want to buy so that those customers don't have to come to the brands. This is one of the conversations I'm most excited about because it's a real behind-the-scenes look at how the best companies in the world do this kind of thing. And Shopify is one of our newest customers, so we're really excited to work together and to share our conversation today. So please welcome to stage Matt Martin. Matt runs corporate treasury for Shopify. Matt, come on up. Okay, so I think our audience has all heard about Shopify and all the flashy, splashy things that you guys do, but it takes a lot to run that business behind the scenes. And essentially, you run the bank in quotes, behind Shopify, all of Shopify's products. So I just want to ask a context-setting question to start. What is money movement? Like, what does payments mean to you in your day-to-day? Yeah. Money just needs to move where it needs to be and work at your scale. So tell us about that.
Yeah, there's lots to it. Context setting, Shopify, global organization. I'm fortunate to run the team that runs corporate treasury around the globe as well. So what does that mean? Money's in all the right places, all the right times, not too much money in those places as well. So that is about 10 different banks, 100 plus accounts, like 25 different currencies. I was just telling Rachel behind stage there that we run about 53 different payment rails, which is awesome. We just went live with Modern Treasury about a month ago, and so we're still in that nice honeymoon phase, although we are very
Why
candid.
He's on stage.
Very candid in the feedback that we provide to the entire Modern Treasury team. And you're right, it is often a challenge to make sure that we have money all over the globe at any given time without too much buffer as well, because obviously we want to be efficient and effective with our cash. And so there's a lot of little things that go into making that overall financial system work. And I think that's what we'll get into as we're chatting.
Absolutely. One of the things I've been so impressed by is the Shopify Treasury team's adoption of technology and sort of the way you approach what you do. One of our PMs said, their team grokked our expected payments object faster than any other customer I've ever met. Like you're just operating with a certain clock speed. So I would love to hear how you set and manage your team's culture. So to be in a finance organization, but operating with that level of technology adoption.
Yeah, I'm like kudos to our engineering team. I think I'm fortunate to work with some of the best and brightest, both on the finance side and on the technical side. Going into the culture, I mean, this comes from the top down. This is, we have a technical founder in Toby all the way through our organization who digs deep into the details. They want to understand the why behind what that is and always gets down into first principles. And so what does that mean? That not only means that you need to understand like how or what the objective might be, but also like why are we getting there and how does that fit into the overall context of Shopify's journey? And so do we need to build something today versus building something in 5 years because our scale is going to change over that time, growing organization, just like many of you in the audience here. Going down all the way into, okay, now we get to build and now we get to tinker. And one of the mottos or the values that we have at Shopify is doing things and telling people. And so, yes, you can have that culture of, you should build or you should ask why or get down to the first principles, but you also need to tell people what the heck it is that you're working on. So you need to prototype and show that thing. And we really value that prototyping. It's never been easier right now to be able to show prototyping, which is awesome. It's exciting. The speed of iteration that we can prototype things out, it's really exciting. It's new for all of us in the non-technical areas, right? Because typically we would have to tap our engineers, but with the advent of AI agents and things like that, that culture comes through. And now not only do I get to work closer with my engineering team, but I also get to prototype myself as well because the tooling is there.
When we were on the phone a week or so ago, I can't remember when, you said you had just broken Cursor for the number of connections you had added and your own, like whatever your balance was with them. So yes, even Matt, the head of the team, is tinkering a lot. Before AI, you also had the whole team get way up to speed on SQL and like running on the way you have your database set up. Can you just explain culturally, like, how did your team really learn, and what was the environment that you put them in to get them over the line?
Yeah, this was driven down from, again, it's top down to look around the corners and say, okay, finance team, what is going to be the thing that we're going to need to learn now that's going to help us in 2, 3, 5 years? And at the time, and like almost very like basic and fundamental to say that at the time, it was okay, everybody on the team needs to learn SQL. And that's from our CFO and treasurer down to the people who just joined the team. And so we did weekly sessions with the team, and we just set out challenges of like, hey, what's our average monthly recurring revenue in the month of February? Or hey, can you build a dashboard that allows us to assess average balances in our bank accounts over time? Challenges allow you to actually learn it like yourself, rather than saying, oh, well, like Rachel built this thing, that's really cool, now I can build that thing. It's not as simple as that. You need to learn how to ride the bike yourself, for lack of a better term. And we found that to be really effective, really successful, and then marked each other as well. So built trust amongst the team to say, okay, I can rely on you and you can rely on me, that I know my stuff and so do you. Great, now let's go and build together. And that makes it a lot more fun too, because building on a really high effective team, it makes work fun, especially when you're tackling really complicated challenges.
And I can say for sure the Shopify team knows their stuff. So that's sort of the culture environment, like for SQL, now AI, and your adoption is really quick. I would love to hear some specific examples of things you've built inside your team. Like I'm thinking of your liquidity build, or the way you thought about categorization or reconciliation, like some of these concrete things that are the outcome of the way that culture is coming to life.
Yeah. I'll start on liquidity and then maybe prompt categorization.
Don't share anything
because I'm going to
share.
forget. So in corporate treasury, daily liquidity management is known to be like a resource sucker. It can be giant if you have multiple banks, currencies, different cutoff times, etc. And we set out to say, okay, it's great that we have a dashboard that shows us all of our bank balances, but I think we can do better. Why are we looking at a dashboard and then having our team come up with recommendations or, to use modern treasury terminology, payment orders or expected payments, when we already know what our goal is? It's to make sure we have all the money in all the right places at all the right times. And so can we build parameters of what exactly that looks like? And so a couple of years ago, we actually built those parameters, including all of our balances. We looked at historical and future-looking transactions, put all of that together with those parameters. Like I said, so like we don't want too much money in Europe. We don't want too little money in Europe. So you can always be in the Goldilocks zone there. All of that goes into the liquidity engine. On any given day, it can spit out recommendations. And those recommendations are critical for us because it moves us from, oh, okay, this dashboard is now static, to here's 10 things that you should do today. And those 10 things, that sped us up from hours of investigation to, 30 minutes. It's faster now with our implementation of Modern Treasury. It also reduces any chance for manual errors. So, hey, I accidentally put in an extra zero, or I actually moved money between the wrong entities. It allows us, instead of managing liquidity at the individual transaction or individual balance level, to abstract away and actually manage at the system level. And so let's make sure our inputs are really good.
Yeah.
Let's make sure our parameters are really good. And then we can tinker and play with what the output looks like, so long as we can rely on those inputs and parameters.
It's such a good example, building a custom liquidity engine as an output of having a team that operates and thinks in this way. I would love to hear the second example that we talked about before of reconciliation versus categorization. Like, you guys have we sometimes think of the 5 whys. That's very well known in the product engineering space. But you guys have a very deep way of thinking about what you need to do and why you need to do it. And so in addition to the technology side, I think the categorization is an example of that.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. So I wish we had 100% reconciliation on every transaction. Unfortunately, that's not real. And so why is that the case? It's because we didn't have all of the data to match to. And I just don't know if we'll ever get to 100% of the data that we need to match to. And so we explored a little bit of, okay, should we build a categorization engine ourselves? And so we asked ourselves, okay, is this something that Shopify is uniquely positioned to do? Or is this something that we think we should own? And so, like, do I need to learn how to parse through bank statement descriptions? Do I need to be special at that? The answer was no. Nonetheless, we prototyped and used, a k-nearest neighbor to try to figure out what exactly the description was closest to for our invoices or merchant activity and things like that, and realized that while it was great, we were getting close. We really liked the idea of that binary. Yes, we know exactly what this transaction corresponds to, and that allows us to not be wrong. And so going back to what we heard this morning, right? The downsides to being wrong are significant. And so we can't rely on, hey, yes, this algorithm told us that this is the category of the transaction. We needed to go deeper and say, okay, we need a binary output here. And so that allowed us to at least understand what the space looked like before we asked more questions to say, well, do we actually want to build the thing? We turned around, gave feedback to the Modern Treasury group, and fortunately, you have some bright minds there. I think they turned around a categorization engine prototype for us in like less than a week after we gave them this feedback. And we're using it today to tag a lot of our transactions. It allows us to have more effective liquidity management, allows us to forecast cash a lot better, and it reduces any question marks around what that transaction might be. It reduces that hallucination because those rules are binary in nature.
Yep.
We don't have to worry about AI and
they're
the
deterministic.
hallucination. Yeah.
That's right. I think that's a perfect example of, like, in a tinkering build first culture, you have to counter it with why you're doing what you're doing, so you don't just tinker and build yourself into different corners and different places. So I love that example for Shopify. One of the things that was said in the keynote this morning is that payments are a team sport. And I think that 100% applies to Treasury, especially in such a payments and money heavy company as Shopify. One of the things that I've learned along the way, almost years of working with your team now, is that I don't know what to call it. Service organization is not the right word, but I don't know what else to say. You guys serve many other teams that want to move money around the world and need to move money around the world. So I would love to hear some of your lessons learned and the way you think about that, outside of the construct of just your team and your technology and tools, how you build across teams. Like, who do you serve in the organization, and what are those workflows like between you and other parts of the organization?
I'll break hearts of any other Treasury operators in here, but we are not always the main character of the story. We work with so many different parts of the organization: tax, payroll, our accounts payable, to our supporting the product as well, right? So Shopify Payments, Capital, et cetera. We run the infrastructure that allows a lot of these products or operations to run. And we consistently need to gather their feedback. Again, this is going back to like the doing things and telling people, hey, we are doing this thing. We are making a change to the way we operate payments. We need to go and seek feedback from our teams. One of the examples that I'll run through is when we were implementing the Modern Treasury system, we were looking at how do we get information from our upstream, so like our vendor management portal, down through in our payments factory, and then onwards, obviously, to the banks and eventually onwards to the vendors. And we were challenged with, okay, well, where do we want the source of truth? Because again, if you have many sources of truth, you have zero sources of truth. And so dug into where we want that to live. And when we figured out, okay, we actually don't want this to live in Modern Treasury, we then said, are there lessons to learn from what we are doing in Modern Treasury today? And the lessons that we learned were, oh, well, we're working with a ton of payment experts. Again, we work with 53 different payment rails around the globe. We don't need to be experts in all 53, but we can level up our knowledge. And so working with the team as we were going through that counterparty and template example, we learned a ton about, okay, what do each of these payment rails need? Bring that all the way forward so that we can have validation at the vendor level at their first contact, reduces our up and downstream error rates so that we're much more effective, lower failure rates, and it's faster for any vendors to get paid with a lot less manual intervention.
And then that gets pushed down and validated in Modern Treasury, et cetera. So it's operating technically as opposed to like handing off team by team.
Correct.
Programmatically. One of the things, so you have done now change management of Treasury twice at Shopify, and part of this is also like the human capital interactions of the change management of changing workflow for teams. So I would love to just hear a few stories of what it's like to actually, you guys led the charge and did the purchase and implementation process, got to know us and all that we offer, but then there's all the other teams behind you drafting off of that decision. So if you can share any lessons learned from that part of the process.
I think one of the key lessons learned is being an effective like salesperson internally of, hey, these processes, they impact you. That's one key thing. Share that, be a salesperson. This is going to be better for you because X, Y, and Z or Z thing, depending if you're north or south of the border. The other thing would be advocating and investigating in other people's processes, so up and downstream processes. And an example of this is like working with your tax or accounts payable team, understanding their processes in depth was critical to our change management. And candidly, I think we can continue to do a better job in understanding every other group's processes and up and downstream implications as well. And so this is somewhere where like I challenge myself and the others on our team to get deeper into what the other groups are doing, because that also validates and shows that you're interested in the thing that you're working on.
Yeah, the service part of that part of
service part of this. Again, we're not the main characters, and so when you do that, they're more likely to be engaged, involved in whatever the change management aspect of your project is. So that piece, and then just getting them excited about the thing that you're working on. Sometimes it's easier than others because I get more excited about treasury management than a lot of other people do. But getting excited and showing them, what's possible out there. And I think that's one of the key things. Going back to like culture is challenging, what's possible. Hey, your current state is this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what it could be. Okay, great. We're bringing in a different, technology process. We've just asked questions. We're going to build something. We're going to partner on another thing. And then showing them, okay, wow, like expand the thought process there to sell or advocate for them to come on.
Where are we going? Where are we going with this big change? that sort of leads into something that I'm sure a lot of people in the audience are thinking about, which is you have an extremely talented and capable team, but you guys also partner as a whole company, but in Treasury and in all the financial organization, you partner really effectively. So I would love to hear, if I'm sure the audience would love to hear, how you think about build versus buy, not to be reductive, but what that process is like. Give us an inside look into a year ago. Not necessarily anything about Modern Treasury, but how do you shepherd an organization to think through that process really thoughtfully?
Yeah, this is a big one for Shopify, and I see us moving in and out, especially on the Treasury department as well. Of like, hey, we could build this, we can buy this, but it goes back to those questions that I was asking, which is, are we uniquely positioned to do this, or do we need to do this for compliance, risk, etc., those type of things? And most of the time, like, we don't need to be experts on bank communication most of the time. And so, again, we ask those questions to ourselves. Then we ask, okay, what assumptions do we have about the problem that we are about to go and tackle? And often, the assumptions that you have are limiting assumptions on whatever the project is that you're going to face. And so, we like to set it up so that you debate one side, I'm going to debate the other, and often that breaks down those assumptions relatively quickly. We have we value feedback at Shopify. We speak very candidly at one another. We separate the person from the work, and we're able to have heated debates. We value that because we think that expands the potential for impact in whatever it is that we're doing. So, going back to your question, sorry, I've blanked on that one.
Oh,
please.
How do you think
bring
about
it
build
back.
versus buy?
Yes.
You've set up a debate conversation. Let's say maybe you build or maybe you
Yeah.
buy. Then there's a step after, which is like, okay, we've decided we don't need to be experts in bank
Yeah.
connectivity, but then we have to look out there and partner. How do we know how to evaluate partners? Like, what's the requirements is almost too thin for it, but the requirements process and all the stuff that we need to take when we get out there and
Right.
look.
I was getting there too.
It's after lunch.
Needed a prompt. Yeah, I need a cup of
You
coffee.
needed an AI agent prompt.
I do. I'm used to those
Saved
now.
prompt.
I'm used to those. The next step of that, so you obviously have to define requirements. You have to ask why. You have to ask why 5 times. Challenge the assumptions. Debate what this looks like, and then you look outside quickly as well. You do your horizon scan. Okay, what's out there? Challenge all of that, and so that's all deep diligence that traditional companies would do. And then we also go in and say, okay, based on our own experience, based on our context trajectory, what does Shopify need uniquely today? And what is the thing that we need to build, or what is the thing that we need to maintain in the future? That allows us to make an effective decision for that point in time, because for us, Shopify, Treasury, the finance team, we all suffer from indigestion way more than we suffer from starvation in terms of resourcing. And so we need to be very effective at, okay, at this point in time, should we be building or should we be partnering?
Yeah, you guys are especially good at that. How do you measure success for the build projects and the partner projects? How do you work with your team, and just also how does the company think about success at these types of things?
Yeah, I think historically it was, did you meet your KPIs of the project, right? And that might be like time savings or money savings or whatever that might be.
Yeah.
But I think more and more we are being measured on how well does the system fit into the broader system. And so a lot of what we're doing when we're assessing requirements or making decisions is we're trying to embody that systems thinking, not only to solve for treasury or finance, but okay, can we solve for what does 2030 look like? And if we're investing in area X, Y, or that other letter that I mentioned, what is it that we need to do today so that we set ourselves up for success in the future? And in order to measure that, we need to go out and talk to all of our stakeholders. And so that might be on the product team or on our internal operating team. And understand, okay, if we're making this change, what does good look like for you? And what does great look like for you? And challenging if we can actually be better than what good or great looks like.
I think one of the things that's interesting about working with Shopify is they carry this through past implementation, through maintenance. And one of the funniest things about getting to know your team is your concept of annoying shit sprints. Which is a unique way of managing maintenance. But you guys actually invest in making things better, even after some like flag has come down, this has gone live, and then you don't leave it alone. You keep pushing the boundary. So will you share with the audience what is an annoying shit sprint and how do you run
I
them?
guess another way of saying it is we just have a disdain for mediocrity. To explain like annoying shit sprints, you can sprint on a project at any given time, but often what is forgotten is all of those like maintenance tasks that you need to do. So about once a year, we spend 30 days of just like, hey, what is annoying you right now? Write it down on this list, and then let's just go and start banging away at each of these. And we actually prioritize those things that are just nagging. And we're recognized and rewarded for that because it makes our system that much more effective and efficient over time. And because we do it multiple times, we've done it multiple times. We try not to do it multiple times a year because it could just it could blow up quite quickly there. But the more that we do it, the annoying shit that we're solving now is actually stuff that is much broader and more impactful than, our signers aren't updated at bank down the street. Now we're solving problems like, hey, why can't I move money between these 4 countries really fast? Oh, that's annoying to me. Let's go and solve that.
Yeah, as mentioned on the panel earlier, sometimes these things are just carried from legacy. It's our last 3 minutes. I promised you a lightning round, so we're going to do a lightning round. We talked a lot about working with the internal teams and then like the process of going through implementation. What is harder, getting buy-in or running a big implementation?
Yes. Next question.
You got to pick one.
I think it's the latter. I think it's gathering I actually don't think it's the implementation at all. I think it's continuing to improve from that initial
back to the annoying shit sprints, like it just continuing to pay attention. What is the biggest buzzword in payments that you think is overrated?
Overrated. I'm not sold that this isn't in payments, but I'm not sold that agentic AI is the best thing that we can do. I think in 2 weeks, 3 months, whatever it is, there's going to be something cooler and better. I'm very excited about it.
Awesome. What did you believe about payments 5 years ago that hasn't turned out to be true, or that you've changed your own mind about? So like rewind the clock to the sort of previous era, closer to when you joined Shopify, that you were sort of believing about treasury and payments that hasn't turned out to be true.
2 things. One, I used to think they were boring. They are not. There is so many interesting things. And 2, I used to think they were simple, and they are not. They are complicated. In my view, there's too many different parties involved in like every single payments transaction. I feel like we can simplify this. So challenge to all of the bright minds in the room and on the live stream. Let's go and solve this, make it simpler for everyone.
Oh God, especially at your guys' scale and complexity, that's especially true. How do you explain your job at cocktail parties? Like bonus if it would work on a grandparent, like that level of...
I would
you can't be
say
flummoxed. You got to explain your job.
Yeah.
At Canadian Thanksgiving.
At Canadian Thanksgiving, yes. I like to explain that I have the keys to the bank accounts for the company. And so if if you need something to happen, I'm the key holder there.
That's awesome. What keeps you up at night? Scale or control? Especially in the scale and context and complexity of Shopify.
I want to say yes again, but I don't think I can. I'm going to go with control on this one. We have a lot of bright people at Shopify on the finance team as well, thinking about scale.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go with control. I think there's a lot that needs to be done here, as we heard earlier today with all of the controls that are coming out. We definitely need to be aware of that, especially in the age of AI.
Yeah. It's we feel the same way. That's why our approach is what it is. If you weren't in payments, what else would you be doing? What other fireside chat would you be doing?
I like working with my hands, and so I'm gonna go with like being like a baker or something like that. I like baking as well. So maybe I would be doing a fireside chat, but the fire would be like a stove.
Real?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
Putting pizza.
very different than our day to day. A lot of us work in front of screens, right? And so
Yes.
working in the tangible world is very different. And I think I would be interested in that.
Right backstage, Matt told me that at Fireside Chats at Shopify, they have like a blow up fire that lights up. So we'll try and get that as an enhancement for next year. Okay, that's our time. Now all of you know how to run like Shopify. Everyone on your team has to learn SQL and code and build to our MCP server. No, seriously, thank you to Matt for being here. I think the audience can probably tell that our organizations really love to work together and that we've become friends along the way. So thank you. And there's just a great benefit when partners are willing to learn from each other. It's positive sum and better outcome. Everyone can focus on their core, and then there's better outcomes for all stakeholders on both sides of that transaction.